right, so in our classwork, your notes that you guys have been writing on, let's see where I moved it to. Hopefully I didn't move it. Yours are under week 8, your meiosis notes fill in document. So we're going to be in box B, and then we can go through these questions also together. So let me pull up the notes. All right, so let's make sure we understand why we go through meiosis. Like, what's the point? So we didn't really make a model this time because I gave you guys fill in the blank notes. But basically, our model is that the chromosomes get halved, and then you end up with 4 gametes or sex cells. So why do you guys think we need to make these special gamete cells? Like, what's the purpose of having like sperm and egg, and like what is different about them? So there, it was said that when they come together, it's doubled. So remember, when they get halved, like haploid cells, the gametes, the sperm and egg, then when they come together, they have the proper amount of chromosomes. So yes. So if we did not have or cut in half the chromosomes, if we still had 46 in a sperm and 46 in an egg, we would get a baby that had 92 chromosomes, and that does not work out to be a human. So we cannot have that happening. So in your notes, box B, why do we need to make these special gamete cells? We kind of went through this the first day, but like I said, as a reminder, you want them in half so that you don't end up with 92 chromosomes, because humans have 46 only. So that would cause a lot of problems. Oh, it's a semi-aquatic rodent from Venezuela has 96 or 92 chromosomes. So that would not be correct for humans. All right, so what else? Do all organisms use this process to pass on their heritable information? What do you guys think? Do you think, it's just a guess, we haven't gone over this before. Do you guys think that every single living thing goes through this kind of meiosis where they have sperm and egg cells? Actually, it is no, that only the sexually reproducing organisms go through meiosis. So we did learn about bacteria and viruses. They don't need a like sperm and an egg or a female and a male reproductive system or organ to replicate. Like bacteria, we talked about budding. So it can just copy its genetic DNA and just make a copy of itself. So we have sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction, and which we'll learn about later if we get to it. Right now we have to get to DNA. That's most important. But we did talk about bacteria. And one of the things we use energy for is reproduction to make these cells. And why put all this energy into reproduction? What do populations of organisms get out of it? It's a new copy of their DNA and like a copy of their heritable information. And you guys know that we need to continue to have offspring in order for like natural selection and populations to go up. And variation, I forgot about that. My bad, but variation, it's in red. Sorry if you can't see that. All right, so variation, why do we have to do this? So we kind of already went through this, like I said, but what does meiosis have to do with it? Do you guys remember what part of meiosis causes more variation? Yeah, crossing over. So we're also going to talk about the mathematical combinations. So when you were creating the combinations for each of the 3 pairs of chromosomes, when we were doing the making babies activity, when we had the mom and the dad, what was the chance each time of getting an A versus a B? We flipped a coin. What's the chance? 50-50 chance. Oh, sorry. I got that. 50-50 chance of getting the A chromosome or the B chromosome. So that does relate to us. If we have a pair of chromosomes, homologous chromosomes, you have a 50-50 chance of getting them. I told you guys before, you have a 50-50 chance of being a boy or a girl when the sperm and the egg combine. This allows for some variation, but actually we're going to figure out how much exactly. So if we have 3 pairs of chromosomes, can you guys figure out any math on how many different eggs are possible if you have 3 pairs of chromosomes? So you have 6 total chromosomes. Can you figure out how many eggs are possible? This is a harder math question. How about if I say it like this? How many different combinations of 3 pairs are possible? So we have 3 pairs of chromosomes, long, medium, and short, obviously. 2 of each kind. Remember, we put an A and a B on the making babies activity. So you get 8. You might be like, how? How do you get 8? Because I sat there and I was like, that's 6. So what mathematical operation would we do from using 2 and 3 to get an 8. So remember I told you guys about n, how n for humans is 23, and then 2n is 46. So it turns out if n is equal to the number of pairs of chromosomes, then 2n, like 2 to the power n, should be the number of different chromosomes possible in their gametes. So if we did how many combinations are there for each human in the making babies activity, it would be 2 to the 3rd power, which gives you 8. I'll never ask you to like do this math on a thing. I'm just telling you how we got it. So humans do have 23 chromosomes, like if you lined them up, because like I said, 23 pairs, 46 individual chromosomes. Okay, so if we did 2 to the 23rd power, you get 8 million some odd different, genetically different gametes per person. So every person could have that many genetically different gametes if you had 8 million sperm or egg cells in your body. Crazy. Like they said, it's a lot of variation. And then when we talk about crossing over, that was brought up, which is in this diagram. So you can see it that the red and the gray are switching their genetic information. They're crossing over. That makes even more variety. Obviously, there's probably not an answer, like a numerical answer for how many different combinations are possible now, because crossing over depends how many chromosomes switch, how much of it switches. Remember, it only happens in prophase 1 though, but it's infinite is what they say. The number approaches infinity. So I'm sure there is a limit, maybe, possibly, but nobody's taken the time to do that math. All right, so I forgot if we switch this one. We're just going to use the pipe cleaner idea that I just went over to figure out how Lucy and Maria could have looked like this from their parents. So if Dad's mother was an A and his father was a B, and they're both Caucasian. Remember, he was 100% Caucasian. And then Mom's mother, A prime, was Jamaican because she was 50% Jamaican. And her father, B prime, is Caucasian. So that's how Mom is 50% Jamaican. Does it matter what chromosome that Dad would give to the twins in this case, if they're both Caucasian? Would it matter? Yeah, so Dad has the same option. So it doesn't matter if he gives A or B, it's going to be the Caucasian gene. So probably not. So an ethnicity-related trait on A or B would be similar from Dad because all of the options were the same. However, oh, there's a thought bubble, sorry. So we just need to focus on what Mom has. So if we take out only the mom's chromosomes and figure out how the egg might have formed. So here's Mom. And remember, the A prime is the Jamaican gene and the father, B prime, is the Caucasian gene. So what kind of options, I forget which one's which, I forget their names, but let's go with Lucy being the light-skinned girl and Maria being the darker-skinned girl. What kind of traits would, or what letters would Lucy, the redhead, blue-eyed girl get? Like, what letters do you think she would get from Mom? Dad always, it didn't matter what Dad gave her. So what do you think Mom would give her? If A primes are Jamaican traits and B primes are Caucasian traits. I got some B primes on the chat. B prime is white, Caucasian. I got a head nod here. Should probably give her all the B primes because if you look at Lucy or the girl on the left, right, my left, she has like fair-skinned traits. Like she looks like she's like Irish, so she's super fair-skinned. Then what about Maria? What do we think Mom could have given to Maria? Majority A, maybe like 1B. I would agree. So obviously we can see that if one parent has more dominant traits or they get the way they separate in meiosis, they can get passed on to one of their children. So that is how they were fraternal twins. So I know some people assumed that because they are not identical, obviously. So fraternal means they came from two different eggs. So one of Mom's eggs obviously had all of the Caucasian or the, which letter is that? B traits. So she had all the B primes, and then the other egg cell from mom had probably most of the A traits with some B, or like one B. All right, you're not going to be a science reporter. Okay, so we'll finish up our notes now. All right, so going back to connecting with bacteria and viruses, obviously we found out that they're always evolving. We talked about antibiotic resistance. We talked about how they can stop being killed by antibiotics. So how could we figure or think about a way that explains why genetic variation in humans by meiosis, because remember we came up with all those varieties, why is that beneficial against bacteria and viruses? So why do we need or want more genetic variation when it comes to fighting against bacteria and viruses? You guys can just write your thoughts. It's not a right or wrong answer. I'm just going through the questions with you, so you don't have to do them by yourselves. All right, then the next one, we can talk about the meiosis 1 versus meiosis 2. This is a drawing again, so I'm sorry. Meiosis 1, there's something we talked about today that happens. What happens? Crossing over happens. What usually happens before meiosis 1? There's like a stage. Yeah, so interphase comes before. Is there anything else crazy that I'm missing? That's not a text box, but whatever. I'll figure it out. Remote, do you have any ideas that I'm missing? Let me just check through. Let's see, we got crossing over. Oh, how many cells do they end up with at the end of meiosis 1? Yeah, there's only 2 genetically different cells. Oh man, did I mess this up now? All right, what do they, hold on. What stages do they all have? I know they have different numbers, but we can put it under both. Anybody remember any of the stages? PMAT, and then I figured it all out. And then they're both considered what at the end of their division? It's a special word that starts with an H. Yeah. Is there anything else that they both do? All right, what about meiosis 2? I can only think of really like one thing. Yeah, there's 4 cells at the end. Oh, I guess we could talk about, this one has sister chromatid, so it goes single. And this one has homologous pairs. I'm sorry, I can move it up. I still have it up here. No. Anything else I'm missing? They all line up. I'm like going through it in my head. Remote, am I missing anything? Oh, I forgot my H in phase. I'm like, why is that spelled wrong? There you go. Oh my goodness. If I missed anything, we'll go back. I think that's pretty much everything. And that is all for our notes. Woo! All right, let me stop recording quick.